So welcome back, wine family. I know it's been a while since we did a video. This is actually the video we did for our live on Instagram. However,
we were supposed to put this out, but we had some technical difficulties. So today's wine that we're drinking is called Notorious Pink. It is a Grenache. So one of the signs of depression is markedly diminished interest and pleasure of activities that you know you might find interesting. So that could be something as simple as like you used to like cooking, but now you don't want to cook or something like that. Another sign would be significant weight loss or even a significant weight gain. And that kind of goes along the lines with like appetite, your appetite could change. So whether it be you're losing your appetite or your appetite is increasing, so you might be like overeating. So these are just some signs that you should pay attention to. And if you find yourself indulging in food a little bit more, maybe try balancing it out. And I'm speaking for myself as well, because I've been eating them snacks, man.
It's very hard to cut down on food, especially right now when it seems like that's the only thing you can really do. So when Mel was talking about the significant weight gain and weight loss, typically that is 5% of your body weight. I know we may not necessarily know the BMI and all those numbers, but typically a telltale sign is if someone's telling you like, oh, you look like you gained some weight, or oh, you look like you really
lose some weight, and that's annoying too. Trust me.
So be mindful of that. I mean, also I don't want to like put the pressure and say like, oh, you have depression, because I know during this time you're probably eating more, you're probably not doing the activities that you used to enjoy because you probably can't.
So we're not saying that you're depressed, but we just want you to like recognize these signs, because sometimes you might be falling into a depression.
Okay, so the next signs or symptoms of depression would be insomnia or hyperinsomnia nearly every day. So pretty much either you're having an inability to sleep, or you're sleeping too much, or psychomotor agitation or retardation. That typically means that you're either pacing back and forth, you're showing signs of restlessness.
So some of the next signs would be fatigue or loss of energy. So you just feel tired like constantly throughout the day. I guess that kind of goes along with like a hyperinsomnia. So you might be just, laying around because you just don't feel like doing it. So next sign would be feelings of worthlessness or excessive or inappropriate guilt. So you just constantly feel like, you're not worth being here, and that, you don't amount to anything really. And then like the inappropriate guilt. So you might just feel guilty for things that just are not in your control.
So like Mel was saying, with inappropriate guilt as well as feelings of worthlessness, a lot of times that comes with being hard on yourself. So thinking about what you can actually control versus what you can't control. So like things as far as the schools closing, things as far as being furloughed from your place of employment, those are some things that's out of your control. So not necessarily taking so much
don't be so hard on yourself.
Don't be so hard on yourself about it, because you can't control it. I know it's difficult because you're thinking about how can you pay bills and things like that. So honestly, once you start thinking all these negative thoughts, then that's going to further exacerbate or increase your symptoms of depression. So the last two signs of depression are diminished ability to think and concentrate, and recurrent thoughts of death. So with recurrent thoughts of death, if you are having suicidal ideations, I do encourage you to seek support. So we do have resources on our Instagram page in which you can utilize, or you can reach out to myself or Mel if you are struggling with some depression or depressive symptoms. I know the ones that we listed off for you seem generally common, except for like the recurrent thoughts of death. So, don't necessarily panic if you're experiencing these symptoms. The telltale sign is if you're experiencing this for a period of about 2 weeks or more. So that's something to be mindful of as well. So within depression, if you don't necessarily feel comfortable in utilizing resources like talking to a complete stranger over a hotline or talking to myself or Mel, we did want to provide you with some tools and techniques that you can utilize that may help you with some of the depressive symptoms that you're experiencing. So one of them is a DBT technique that reduces emotional vulnerability, and that one is termed please skills. It is an acronym. So the P and the L stands for physical illness. So typically with this one, you want to be mindful of what your body is experiencing, being comfortable with your body, knowing when to go to the doctor, knowing when to get checkups, doing routine care for yourself, because I know, when we're experiencing colds or flu-like symptoms, or even if we have toothaches, it's very important to go to your primary care physician or dentist and get those things taken care of, because ultimately you're hurting yourself. Additionally, a lot of times when you are feeling sick or not feeling your best self, that does affect your ability to do a lot of different things that may inhibit your ability to feel happiness and peaceful overall.
So the E stands for balanced eating. So you want to make sure that you're eating fruits and vegetables and getting your protein in. Just making sure that you're not overindulging on those junk foods and those foods that have sugars and a lot of fat in it. So just make sure that you're taking care of your body. So the A stands for avoiding mood altering drugs. So when you're in a depressive state, you want to avoid things like alcohol, especially because it is a downer and it will increase those feelings of sadness. You hear a lot with people who have committed suicide. They have had like a high level of alcohol in their system, because sometimes those recurrent thoughts of, suicide and hurting yourself could be playing in your mind. And when you're drinking a lot and you have a lot of alcohol in your system, it could, change your mind, telling you that you need to do those.
Yeah. You think about drugs as downers or uppers. So like definitely staying away from downers. I mean, uppers also are ones you want to stay away from, because you may feel like you're invincible, you could do whatever.
And you might still get hurt.
And you may do something very impulsive, and that will be a very bad combination, especially if you have depressive symptoms or experience some type of mental health problem. So the next one is S, and that stands for balanced sleep. So the average amount of sleep that a person is supposed to get a day is 6 to 8 hours. I know everyone is different. So some people require more sleep, other people require less sleep. It just kind of depends on, your day-to-day activities and things that you do throughout your life. I know sometimes it's difficult for some people to be able to get that amount of hours of sleep because they do work a lot, but it is important to at least get some sufficient amount of sleep so you do feel more productive and essential in your life. It does help you feel energized. It does help you feel like you are being productive, and it kind of combats some of those feelings of worthlessness because you are more able to stay oriented to goals and what you're trying to accomplish for that day.
The last letter is E, and that stands for exercise. So during this time, it's good that you're not only, focused on your mental, but also your physical. So exercise is a form of releasing those endorphins in your body. Just making sure that you're feeling good physically as well. So making sure that you're getting that energy out.
Yeah, because I don't know about you all, but when I exercise, I typically, although I feel like out of breath, I do feel better about myself because it's like, I feel like I have a burst of energy now, which I can just do anything. Which also comes to play with eating well too.
So another tool or technique that you could do is use this time to do some self-reflection. So reflecting on your life and the moment that you're in right now. It can honestly bring out some feelings that you didn't even know were there. You can find some things out about yourself that maybe you were kind of afraid to face, but now is the perfect time to face it. You're in the house. You don't really have much to do. You might as well get in tune with yourself, because ultimately, we said this before, if you're not in love with yourself, like, how can you, be able to function in other people love you. You have to love yourself first. So use this time wisely. Do some self-reflection. Do some journaling. Like, you will be amazed at what you find out about yourself if you just take the time that you need to focus on yourself.
Sometimes I know it's difficult to self-reflect, especially if you don't necessarily know how to. My advice for you is to be able to find a resource, which Melanie does have a book.
Sorry, I don't have an example with me, but I did create a goal-setting journal. So obviously it's focused on setting goals, but right now is like the perfect time for you to start setting goals for yourself, because when outside open back up, you're going to be unstoppable. Like, and it's also a self-reflection piece incorporated into my journal. So it's set up where, you know, you can set out your weekly goals, write them out. Then it asks you, how are these SMART goals? So we'll get into a little bit about the SMART goals in a second. And it also has like either a meme or a scripture, because I am faith-based and I do believe, you know, I do need these words to help me reach my goal. So I found some really positive things, and I created self-reflection questions to go with those things. So you have, it's like a template for you. So if you are not, you know, good at self-reflecting by yourself, it'll help you start off your journey in self-reflection.
So we will be plugging that on the Wind Down page for your ability to purchase it. In addition to that, we did want to talk about goal setting specifically.
SMART goals.
Yes.
Which is another acronym.
Yes.
The S in SMART goals stands for specific. So you want to make sure that your goal is something specific. So you want to make sure that you define it as clearly as possible, making sure that it's very easy to understand what it is that your goal is.
For measurable, which did I say that right?
Yeah.
It ain't sound right. So you're tracking how much, how many, but also when you actually achieve this goal. So pretty much when people are setting goals for themselves, they'll probably have a checklist. So say for instance, you have a goal of opening up a business.
Specific task to get there.
Okay. So you may have 5 or so specific tasks in order to achieve that goal. And within measuring your progress, you will be checking off once you have a certain thing completed, and to the point in which everything is all done and you know that that goal has been achieved.
A stands for achievable, or it can also stand for attainable. So this is just making sure that you can actually complete the goal that you set for yourself and that you can attain it, period.
So the next letter is R for realistic or relevant goals. So a lot of times people may have strengths and weaknesses. So know what your strengths are, know what your weaknesses are. So that can be a component which you do with self-reflecting, because ultimately things that you excel in, it may take less time to achieve opposed to ones that you may struggle a bit in. So being able to be real with yourself as to what you are able to accomplish and in what time.
So then the last letter is T, which stands for timely. So you want to make sure that you give yourself a time limit. So whether it's a short-term goal, which is usually about 3 months or less, or a long-term goal, which is more than 3 months, setting a time for yourself. So I will complete this goal in 3 months. I will complete this goal in 6 months. Just so you can keep a target on when this goal needs to be completed.
Yeah. But then doing so, you can look at your progress as well, which kind of goes with the measurable component too. You can see if you're on target, if you're a little bit behind. And even if you are behind, that's okay. Just continue. Because ultimately, if you're not necessarily that good at it, it may take some more time to achieve. That doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. You just have to be realistic in regards to if you're able to achieve that goal at that exact moment.